In this part, we will talk about how to thread the CTT. Before you begin threading, you need to think about the input tension that you need to apply to the yarn and how much tension is required, maybe as per your standard. For example, I have here a 30 count cotton yarn, and I'm going to be applying 30 grams of tension. For me to choose an arm that will apply 30 grams of tension, I can go to arm number 1 or arm number 2. Arm number 1 will be applying anywhere from 5 grams to 100 grams, and arm number 2 will be applying from 20 grams to 350 grams. Since this is a training video, I would be using arm number 2, but in your daily applications, you can choose arm number 1 after you gain enough experience with the machine. Here is the arm number 2, and we now place arm number 2 on its base and attach its spring to its nut and screw assembly. So now the arm is in its place. Next, what we'll do is we will start the machine and pick up the yarn from the floor and go through our yarn path. The first is our pre-tension device. Make sure the yarn is running inside the guide and fully seated in the pink ceramic guides, and there is enough tension on the yarn. Next, we will go up to the input roll. To do that, we will use our jog pedal to run the CTT at the jog speed. What this does is it temporarily runs the CTT so you can wrap the yarn on the input rolls and along the yarn path. When you release the jog pedal, it will stop feeding. If this jog speed is too fast for you, you can adjust it by using the knob on the side CTT side panel. Here we have the yarn, and we will continue to wrap the yarn on the input rolls until at least 10 wraps are placed on them. Next, we will bring the yarn to the guide pulley, to the tension arm pulley, and to the tensiometer. On the tensiometer pulleys, the yarn runs on the tension head pulley at a 190 degree angle, and then it goes down to the output pulley as like that. The important thing here is the stop motion wire. If the stop motion wire is down, the CTT will not run. So you have to lift up the stop motion wire and make sure the yarn is holding to it. If the yarn breaks, the stop motion wire will drop down and will stop the CTT. That's to protect the machine and you. So here we continue to thread from the output rolls. We go to from the output pulley of the tensiometer. We'll go underside of the output rolls like that, and we'll continue to wrap until we have 10 wraps on the output rolls as well. Once we have them, then we'll have the yarn exit the machine through the aspirator as shown. Here, now the machine is ready to run, but before you run, you have to make sure the yarn path is correct. Make sure the yarn is in, enough wraps, and you can see here the yarn is actually behind. It fell behind the pulley. So what you have to do is bring the yarn in the pulley again and make sure the yarn sits in this pulley as well, and stop motion wire is up and the yarn exits the aspirator perfectly. You can jog the machine to make sure. And when you are ready, bring your tension arm to your desired set input tension level, which is 30 grams in this case. Remember, we are using arm number 2, and we are looking at scale A, and the third line tells us we are right at 30 grams of tension. All we have to do is now press run, and the machine will run at 100 meters a minute. Even though the strobe light is not blinking, it's always a good idea to check the center line. If it's in the center, that means the arm is in full control. Here we have slight movement. Then we have to bring the center line back to the center to make sure. We need to bring the tension arm back to its middle point, where the tension arm will be in full control. Now you're ready to run your test or start your software. If your CTT doesn't come with the tensiometer, there will be a different thread path, which we'll show in the next section.